Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. So before we dive in, I want to just share a little bit about myself. I am the content strategist here at TLR, which means I'm responsible for keeping all of our QuickBooks textbooks up to date, as well as creating new books. I joined TLR in August of 2019. I am a certified public accountant, and I am certified advanced in QuickBooks Online and desktop. I have more than 20 years experience in the accounting field. 10 of those years spent working with small businesses specifically. And I've been an adjunct instructor at UCLA Extension for the past 12 years. And so for those 12 years, I've taught QuickBooks Desktop. And within the last 3 or 4 years, we've added QuickBooks Online in the classroom. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to give you an overview of our brand new textbook, Get Smart with QuickBooks 2022. I'm going to share with you some of the benefits of using our textbook as an instructor. And then I'll also share with you the benefits for your students of using our textbook. We will cover the new features that have been introduced for QuickBooks Desktop 2022. I'll give you a sneak peek at the table of contents. We'll talk about the pricing for the books. And then I want to make sure that each of you that are instructors know how to apply for instructor status on our website. Having access as an instructor gives you access to a lot of resources, such as the answer keys we create. We have PowerPoint presentations for each chapter that are included there. And we've got QuickBooks sample company files and a lot of other useful and helpful information for you. So we'll go over how to do that. And then I'll explain to you how to order a review copy of our textbook. And then I'll give you a quick overview of our, I guess our latest or our newest textbook, which is Get Started with QuickBooks Online. I know many of you might be considering teaching QuickBooks Online in the classroom. And so we will chat briefly about that as well. Feel free to use the chat to post any questions as you have as we're going through it. We're gonna have plenty of time at the end for that, but if you got a burning question, please feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat and we'll definitely get your questions answered. All right, let's dive in. So here is a preview of the new textbook. It will be published in January of 2022. It is a beginner's guide to QuickBooks Desktop. And we use very simple step-by-step instructions and practice exercises within each chapter. There is no prior bookkeeping knowledge required. And we've even included a section on common business terms. So for your students who don't have any type of accounting background or bookkeeping background, we have included explanations of terms like chart of accounts or debit or credit, just so they kind of have a basic understanding of what those terms mean. And then we also have included a sample company file for each chapter. So to help learners easily grasp the concepts taught, we use a fictitious company called Canalside Corporation. So your students will play the role of a business owner of the Canalside Corporation. This company is a construction and remodeling company. And students will have the opportunity to create a company file from scratch. They'll be able to enter income and expenses, run reports, and do a lot more. Some of the benefits for you as instructors are each lesson is self-contained. And so basically you can pick and choose which lessons you want to cover in your course. I would say this textbook is ideal for a course that's 6, 8, 12, or 16 weeks in length. We have PowerPoint slides for each chapter, which I mentioned, And then within each chapter, we've included practice exercises. So typically what I do with the exercises within each chapter, I will demo those in the classroom for students so that I'll demo them and I'll have them do what I'm doing. And then the practice exercises at the end of the chapter, I typically use as homework assignments or in-class assignments. And so you kind of have that flexibility to decide how you want to use those. We've also got additional skills testers and we've got quizzes in our appendix. And then as I mentioned previously, instructors, once you apply for that instructor status, you will have access to all the answer keys for the chapter exercises and the skill testers as well. Some of the benefits for your students, again, step-by-step, simple instructions, hands-on practice for each concept that's introduced. We have eliminated the use of a lot of accounting jargon, so we really use simple, easy to understand language so that students can comprehend what's being taught. We provide guidance on best practices to follow. And this textbook also includes all of the objectives covered in the QuickBooks Certified User Exam. So if you've got students that are considering certification, this textbook is an excellent study guide for that exam. Now let's dive into some of the new features that have been introduced for this edition of QuickBooks. The first one is kind of techie. It's an enhanced computing power, which is 64-bit compliant. And so basically what that means is you will be able to perform tasks much faster than before. In the past, QuickBooks Desktop has been compatible with 32-bit, but as of the 2022 edition, that is no longer the case. So if your computer is not 64-bit compliant, you will not be able to install the software on your computer. So it's very important. In our textbook, we provide the actual technical requirements, system requirements for the software. So you can take a look at that. Another new feature for 2022 is you have the ability to upload vendor invoices with a mobile device. And that process will allow you to create a bill automatically in QuickBooks. So we cover that feature in Chapter 9 of our textbook. You will have the ability to pay bills online with Melio. Melio is an app where in the past you would have to actually add that app for it to integrate with QuickBooks. But Melio is used by many businesses to make electronic payments. And so now it's actually integrated into the software. So we will cover that in Chapter 9 of our book. The payroll setup wizard has been completely revamped. It's really nice, it's really sleek. All of the screens are different, have been updated, I should say, and it's just a lot cleaner and more organized and efficient process. Another feature is they've actually added the ability for employees to enter their own W-4 information. And so that information is covered in Chapter 16 of our book. Last but not least is the subscription-based pricing. So in the past, you've been able to purchase QuickBooks Desktop, just make a one-time purchase. But as of the 2022 edition, Intuit is requiring either a monthly fee, so you're going to pay for the software on a monthly basis, or you will have to just pay for the year up front. And I actually think they offer you a discount if you pay it all up front. The benefit of this is you will have access to the latest and greatest features. So in the past, if Intuit had upgraded the software, you would have to, upgrade to the new edition, right? Well, that is no longer going to be required because on a subscription basis, when they make changes or improvements, you will have immediate access to the new features. The other benefit as well is it includes unlimited tech support. So in the past, you would have probably had to purchase a maintenance agreement or pay for tech support if you called in after the first 30 days. But now with the new subscription-based pricing, tech support is automatically included. All right, let's take a sneak peek at our table of contents here. So we've got a total of 16 chapters in this book. As I mentioned, students will have the ability to set up a company file from scratch. That takes place in chapter 2. They're going to learn how to set up and manage inventory, which is chapter 4. We cover services in chapter 6. And so as you can see, there is a very comprehensive list of topics that we cover. And chapter 16 wraps everything up with the payroll setup. In addition to these 16 chapters, we also have an appendix. And our appendix covers what I would call some advanced topics, like using online banking and estimating time tracking and job costing. Appendix G is the appendix that you as instructors will have access to, student quizzes and skill testers to further just test the comprehension for your students of grasping the concepts. As I mentioned before, to have access to all of our instructor resources, you want to make sure that you apply for instructor status. And to do that, you just visit our website here. It's www.tlr-inc.com. You want to click on instructors, complete the online questionnaire. And then once you are approved, you will see you will receive an email confirmation. After you have been accepted or approved for instructor status, then you want to log in to our website as an instructor, and that will allow you to go ahead and request textbooks for review, okay? And so that's basically the process of how you would request a copy of our textbook for review. And so review copies are free. However, we really would ask that you take a few minutes to complete a survey that you will receive a few weeks after we have shipped the textbook. We want your feedback on what we're doing right or what we could do better. And if you decide to adopt the book for your course, awesome. If you decide not to, we really would love to know why. And that way we can take your feedback and incorporate that information. So for your students who would have to purchase the book, or maybe your bookstore would have to order the book, here is our pricing. On the left, we've got the pricing just for the printed book. You'll notice it says instructor edition. We have a student edition, so the students will get that one. So your students would pay $110 for just the printed book. If they wanted access to an ebook as well, so the printed book and the ebook cost $149. Okay, and we don't currently have this on our website yet because again, the book is not going to be available until January. Okay, but I believe we will take pre-orders. Is that right, Morgan, via email?
Yes, that's correct. We can take pre-orders over email. After this webinar, I'll send an email to everyone on here and you can respond to that with any pre-order information.
Okay, awesome. All right, so last but not least, what I wanted to talk about is QuickBooks Online. So many of you may currently teach QuickBooks Desktop in the classroom, and you might be considering teaching QuickBooks Online, or maybe you just consider transitioning completely from desktop to online. So in August of this year, we released our beginner's guide to QuickBooks Online. It's called Get Started with QuickBooks Online. And as you may know, many small businesses are moving their books from desktop to the cloud. And so it was important for us to go ahead and create a resource for you to start teaching your students about QuickBooks Online. Eventually, this will be, in high demand. It really already is. And I've actually made that transition. Actually, I teach both. I've taught QuickBooks Desktop in the classroom. I teach QuickBooks Online. And it's really easy to teach QuickBooks Online in the classroom. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that. And if you can't think of anything now, you can also send us an email later, and I'll provide you with the email address where you can send your questions. But I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that. I'm even happy to set up a one-on-one to just kind of talk through how it works in the classroom. So this textbook is available now if you'd like to review it. And it is a beginner's guide, as I said, to QuickBooks Online. Bookkeepers and accountants will like it because it includes the behind the scenes debits and credits for many of the transactions. And then we've actually included a chapter on accounting basics for those people who are non-accountants. So now with that said, what questions do you guys have for me?
Well, we've got a couple questions that came in, Crystal, and the first question is, I'm thinking about offering a QuickBooks beginner course and a QuickBooks advanced course. Could I use this textbook for both?
Absolutely, great question. Yeah, this is our most comprehensive textbook, so it's ideal to cover, the chapters that make sense for an introductory course. And then we've got topics in this book that can be considered advanced. So yeah, we've got 16 chapters. So absolutely, if you can't cover all that in one course, you could absolutely break it up very easily. Because as I mentioned before, every lesson or every chapter is self-contained, right? So you can skip around. You don't have to cover the chapters in order. So yes, you can absolutely use this one textbook for a beginner course and an advanced course or an intermediate course.
Great, thank you. Our next question says, I teach an online QuickBooks course. Will students be able to easily follow the instructions without being face-to-face with me in the classroom?
Great question. And the answer is yes. As I mentioned, we use really simple language, and our philosophy is step by step. And so students will have no problem completing exercises on their own, especially if it's an online environment where they're not in a classroom. And so everything's very straightforward. And so I've had students to use the book, and they have had no issues with following the instructions in the book. So definitely.
Perfect. And it looks like this is our last question of the day. I'm not familiar with QuickBooks Online. How much different is it than desktop?
The $1 million question. Yeah. It's very different in the look and feel, for sure. But if you are familiar with desktop, then the language used is the same. So what I mean by that is vendors, customers, employees, that terminology carries over, right, to the QuickBooks Online software. The main difference is when you log into QuickBooks Online, you will have to get familiar with navigating to locate various tasks, right? Like, how do I create an invoice, or how do I enter a bill? So it just looks different from the desktop interface, but very user-friendly, very easy to pick up on how to do things. It's just, I think it's very intuitive program, and definitely with the textbook to help guide you, it is easy to pick up. So yeah, but great question. I mean, obviously the main difference between the two is typically desktop is installed on a computer. QuickBooks Online, you can log in from any computer with an internet connection, right? It doesn't have to have the software installed. So that's kind of the main difference between the two when it comes to platforms. But yeah. Any other questions, Morgan?
Yes, we have one more that just came through. I've been teaching QuickBooks Desktop through a college small business development center. We would like to transfer to teaching QBO, but in a classroom setting. Is that possible?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, you can definitely teach QuickBooks Online in a classroom setting. What I recommend is that you go ahead and order a review copy of our QuickBooks Online textbook. And in there, we've included a lot of information about how you can get your students set up, but basically Intuit offers students a free QuickBooks Online account for up to 1 year. So they will use that in class to complete the assignments. You as an instructor actually get access to an educator portal, which I love. This is like a brand new portal they rolled out within the last couple of months. And what's nice about the portal is you can access all of your students' QuickBooks files. So you can go directly into their account and review information if you want to. You can create demo accounts that you can use to, demonstrate different concepts in the classroom. It's just a lot of resources that we as instructors typically need in the classroom is right there in the educator portal. So my recommendation is definitely order a review copy of our textbook. And if you want to set up a one-on-one where we can chat more or I can answer your questions, send us an email to this sales@tlr-inc.com.
Additionally, I will be sending an email out, like I mentioned, after this webinar. So you'll have my email or the sales email. And if you wanted to order that review copy, like Crystalline mentioned, then you can reply to that email and we can go ahead and move forward with that if you're interested. Thank you for your questions, everybody. And Crystalline, it does appear that that was our last question.
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedules today. We really appreciate it. And have a good rest of your day. Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you and happy holidays.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Crystalline. Bye, everyone.